Carmel Harrington from County Wexford is an internationally published professional novelist. Now, to date, she's published 8 books, with most writing high in the Sunday Times bestseller list. Now, Carmel's latest title, which she's here to discuss, is My Pear-Shaped Life. It's published by HarperCollins. It launched in the UK on the 16th of April. It can be bought at Asda stores as well as Amazon, to which there's a link on our website, and also at hive.co.uk, as in hiveb.co.uk. Carmel, listen, lovely to speak to you.
Hi, Jerry. It's great to be here.
Carmel, you live with your family in County Wexford, but many will be interested to know that you were born in London, with your mother being a Londoner and your dad a native of Wexford. Now, I believe your family were very much part of the London scene. Tell us about that, and also about the many families with Irish roots and your holidays in Ireland and all that, and then relocating permanently.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? I mean, it's always been quite interesting to me, but I was born in London, as you said. My dad is from Wexford, from the Balloch in Wexford, and he left Wexford when he was 16, and he joined his older sister and also my grandmother, his mother, who was working in London and living in Kingsbury. And she had gone over there for work purposes, as a lot of people had in Ireland, and he stayed behind until he was old enough to join her, living with an aunt and uncle. So he went over when he was 16, and he very quickly became involved in the London Irish Centre, and he started to hurl with the Father Murphy hurling club, and he connected with a lot of the Irish there. Still has a lot of friends still there to this date. And one of those friends, a gentleman called Dick Heffernan, the lovely Heffernan family, which again, as I say, we're also friends with, but he lived next door to my mother. And so he met my mother over a garden fence at his mate's house, and they fell in love and got married very quickly. They were quite young when they got married. And the 4 of us, there are 4 kids, we were born, and we lived in very quickly in Steps, and we lived in Harrowweald, and we went to school in St. Joseph's, actually, which was a Catholic school there that had a lot of Irish, actually. There were a lot of the Irish diaspora kids of Irish going to that school. But we were very much involved in the scene. We did Irish dancing, played the tin whistle. Like Mum and Dad would have gone to all of the dinner dances with the Irish clubs. We watched every Sunday. We went to see my dad play hurling with the Father Murphy hurling club, and so we very much identified as Irish, even though we were living in London. And every year, Jerry, Dad would talk about going home, and the big trip was going to Fishguard in the car. We drive from London to Fishguard, and that journey was so much longer when we were kids. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
We were squished into this small car, but we'd go to the ferry, and then we'd head over to Rosslare. And I just have so many happy memories of summers spent in Wexford on Curracoe Beach with all our cousins over here. But always, as soon as we were making that trip, it was always we were going home. It was never that we were visiting Wexford or visiting Dad's family. It was we were going home. And the understanding always was that while we lived in London, home was actually Wexford in Ireland.
Right.
And then eventually it got to the point where Dad was able to move us all over to Ireland permanently. So we moved here when I was 9, almost 10. We moved back home to Ireland.
Right. Now, looking at adopting to change was brought about by the lockdown. You're working from home, and you usually have a sort of a structured day. What's the impact of having all the family around?
Oh my God, it's crazy, Jerry. Honestly, it really is, because I'm lucky because I work from home, so it's grand, right? So I can just say, if anyone is used to sitting at home working away in Ulster, right, because that's what I do. But then you throw in 2 kids, a dog who's excited to have the 2 kids here, and my husband who's working from home too. It is so noisy and it is a bit chaotic. So we've just had to kind of adjust what we do, and like the kitchen table is now a school table, and the spare room is my husband's office, and we're all just trying to muddle in as best we can. It is a bit chaotic, and as much as we plan our days, it goes pear-shaped literally if you choose the deliberate pun.
It's all you can do. Now, your parents are actually nearby, but there is to say, cocooning, it's tough, but we're all aware it's the right thing to do at the moment.
It is. Do you know what it is? We're lucky that, first of all, we're lucky that my parents only live down the road. So what we can do is we can drive down and we can just sit in our car, and they'll stand in their doorway, and we can have a chat, like, from that social distance. But it's you know, it's tricky. Like I was down there last week, Jerry, and I just did drop down the Wexford People paper, and like obviously they love getting that on a Tuesday, so I dropped it down to the doorstep, and Mum and Dad were just standing in their doorway, and I was sitting in the car, and it just struck me that this is the first time in my life, my childhood home, that I can't go through that front door. It was really sad. I kind of felt a bit, kind of pop a lump in my throat there for a moment or two. But what is lovely is my parents have chicken, so I get fresh eggs every day if I want to, which is really lovely. I'm very lucky. I don't have to worry about that. And as I said, this video messaging is huge with us now. Like, Mum and Dad have embraced technology with both arms, and we all have a lot of fun. We do weekly quiz nights, you know, on a Saturday night, each kind of branch of the O'Grady's, because I'm a Mum and Dad is Mike and Tina O'Grady, and all of the O'Grady's and our kids and all, we do these weekly quiz nights, and it's great crack all together. So we do that. Take turns hosting it. Mighty. That keeps us all chatting to each other.
Great. Now, you have your own unique style, combining moving stories with a great deal of humour. Now, for those not familiar with your literature, to give you an idea of the genre, I'm sure you won't mind me mentioning you in the company of people like Maeve Binchy, Kathy Kelly, Marion Keyes, Sinead Moriarty, Patricia Scanlon, and all of those. Now, you started writing My Pear-Shaped Life 2 years ago, when no one had foreseen the pandemic. Now, even so, you're quoted as saying that you wanted to give readers a hug. Your central character there is an outwardly happy as Larry, but as with all of us, her inner critic is busy attacking her self-esteem. Carmel, the world could certainly do with a hug right now, in common with your main character.
Well, that's it. And actually, when I started to write this book, as you said, it was a couple of years ago, because authors always write books well in advance. You know what I mean? They have to, there's a bit of time that takes to get them to this point where they end up on a supermarket bookshelf. But so this was a couple of years ago, and I thought that the world could do with a bit of a hug, even at that stage, not knowing that we were going to end up in this pandemic. So I wanted to write a book that was really all about the characters learning to be kind to themselves as well as being kind to others. And that's really, if you had to just kind of sum up the book. And I really kind of wanted to write this book that was very joyful and uplifting, with a very strong message in it. And that hopefully that would give readers a chance to escape from the harsher realities of life and what's going on, and make them feel like they've had this virtual hug, if you like, in the form of the book. And the early kind of response from readers has been, thankfully, that that's exactly what's happening. People seem to be able to switch off, and they really do enjoy Greta's character. She's good fun. Although she's going through, there's some quite serious themes in the book, and anybody who's read my work will know that. But you know that while I will make you smile, I'll probably put you through your ringer once or twice to get to that smile, because I think that's just the way life is, really. You know, that you need kind of sunshine and rain to get those lovely rainbows. So
Indeed.
It's the same in life, really. You've got to have tears and laughter.
Indeed. Now, the main character, Greta Gale, she's close to her Uncle Ray. They both have insecurities, but helped each other out of their comfort zones in a journey that took them from Dublin to the USA, in the same way as a method actor gets immersed. I believe you undertook a long road trip yourself for research purposes. This was your own adventure with your husband.
I did. Well, do you know what? I always get down and dirty with my characters, and I have to, because if I don't put myself literally in their shoes, they're just never going to come alive for me. And if they're not alive for me, they're not going to be alive for the readers. So, I had written this road trip, and the road trip is actually a really cool one. It takes some of the characters, they leave Dublin and they go to Kansas City, and they make their way by road to Las Vegas, going through 6 states along the way and seeing a lot of roadside America. And I'd written the book, and I'd written the first draft without having done that trip. So it was done through research online. And I just was a bit nervous, Jerry, that it was reading a bit like a travel brochure, you know, because my heart, because I hadn't experienced it, I couldn't talk about it with my own heart. So I just said to my husband, just fancy going on a road trip. And he went along with my idea without much twitching of his arm. And we were lucky somebody was able to take the kids. And we booked it, and we went very quickly. And we spent 7 nights traveling like thousands of miles across America. And it just transformed the book, really, because I was able to really add some depth and colour to the characters' reactions to these wonderful places they visited. So I was able to kind of give them my thoughts and my kind of feelings as I saw places like Monument Valley. You know, it's so majestic, or it's so inspiring there, actually. And I was able to include that in the story. they really made a difference, I think. Hopefully the readers will feel that too.
Right. Now,
they appreciate that.
Your book launched in both Ireland and the UK this month, and physical promotional events, of course, have been put on the back burner with other initiatives in place, such as interviews and also social media. But your biggest cheerleaders are in your own home. I believe that they organised a special celebration.
Oh, for goodness sake. It was so funny because, it was disappointing at first, but there were bigger things to worry about than me missing out on book events. But I do love meeting my readers, and there had been great plans to do these lovely events where readers could come along and not just get a signed book, but we could talk about the book and the characters and all. And a lot of people had been looking forward to it, and then of course it all went. So my children surprised me by putting a party on in my writing room where the library is, and they invited all of their toys. And so literally the guest list included the cast of Toy Story. So Woody and Buzz were there. Dwayne Johnson was there, The Rock, because my son is keen with all the wrestling stuff. So all of these characters, all their favourite toys, were lined up as guests, and they made a ribbon for a VIP, that had to be pulled back for us to go in, and there was speeches, and there was cake, and it was probably the best book launch I've ever been at, and it was so much fun. They made it very special for me. All of them did. It was gas. It was good fun.
Oh, excellent. Now, I think you've whet the appetite of listeners to actually get the book. We can all relate to your characters. Greta's mother, Emily, is a real, sort of a really protective Irish mammy character. Her father, Stephen, is loving but can be a little gruff. Briefly describe him.
Yeah, do you know what? The parents are actually great. Well, Emily, first of all, she brings so much humour into the story, and she's gas. She's the typical Irish mother. You might know this phrase, Jerry. It's one I grew up with now. Not to be having notions about yourself. And Emily would certainly feel that now, that she would be having nothing to do with any notions at all. But Stephen is a bit of a perfectionist, Greta's father. And he lives his life in a very streamlined way. He eats very healthily. He runs every day. And he cannot understand why his daughter doesn't do the same. And she's overweight, Greta's overweight, and he just wants her to be more like him and more like her brothers who are very sporty. And unfortunately, his method of encouraging isn't very good because it's an attack almost all the time, and it's not the best way to ever get anyone to change their habits. So it's their relationship is quite fraught, and it's one of the most difficult relationships in the story. And I think that a lot of people can relate to that because sometimes people, out of love, they can say quite nasty things to us, can't they?
Indeed.
And he certainly loves his daughter, but I think he's not showing it in the best way.
Right. Now, Carmel, we've increased our output to live shows 7 days a week to help people stay connected in some way. We can be heard, of course, worldwide, including in Ireland, on weekdays 1 till 3, Saturdays and Sundays 11 till 1 via irishradio.org or the app, combining music, interviews, dedications, etc., and some local community information. It's great to have you with us. Ciara Murphy, a contributor to our shows, introduced us to your work. Would you like to give a wee hello to Ciara? She's on lockdown here in the UK and missing her family, Grania, Michael, Orla and Emer at home in Dublin.
Absolutely. Ciara's a very dear friend of mine. She really is. And when I go, my publisher is in London, so when I go over to London for meetings, we would try and have lunch together or sometimes breakfast or something. So we're very good friends. She's a very, very lovely person and very supportive. Right from the beginning, before my book started to sell internationally, as you said, when I was just really, just relying on friends really and family to buy the book, she was right there from the beginning, always pushing my book with people and telling people like you about them, which is great. But I've actually got quite a few friends in London. Like Margaret Conway is another dear friend from Wexford, Siobhan Kirby, Liz Bond. These are all people I grew up with who are now living in London, and they'll all be listening, which is really nice. So it's nice to say hello to them all. And I think having a radio station like this is really important, Jerry. It's nice to have that connection to home, isn't it?
It is indeed. Thank you indeed, Carmel. My Pear-Shaped Life, it's no doubt, it's a page turner. People will no doubt want to sample some of your other works. There's numerous ones. It's available on audio platform. That's the Audible platform. The narrator, Amy McAllister, also available on Kindle. And Carmel, listen, it's been a pleasure to speak with you. And I know you love feedback. You can find Carmel on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. And it's at Happy Mrs. H. Her website is www.carmelharrington.com. My Pear-Shaped Life is available now in Asda stores from Amazon and Hive.uk. Carmel, your success keeps growing. Listen, thanks for taking a break from the writing, the homeschooling and all the other stuff going on in your home at the moment. There are probably quieter factories around. Listen, it's lovely to speak to you, and I wish you loads of success in the future.
Oh, thank you so much, Jerry. It's my pleasure anytime. And if you ever need anything from me, from my side, always to do with it. And thank you to your readers and your listeners. Anyone who does pick up a copy, I will be delighted. And I'm really pleased that you've given me the chance to talk about the book. So thank you.